James? James, have you heard what they're saying about your brother? I heard it this morning when I went for water. Old Sarah, busybody that she is, couldn't wait to give me the news from Capernaum. Her son John has returned and told her everything. Everyone is talking about Jesus. Everyone. It seems he's healing all sorts of people, even a leper. That leper knew better than to be in a town, but there he was. He said that Jesus reached out and touched him, and he was healed. What was Jesus thinking of touching a leper? He knows that makes him unclean. But he's broken covenantal law so many times, the scribes from Jerusalem are keeping a very close eye on him. One Sabbath, he was walking through the grain fields with some of his followers, and they were gathering the grain on the Sabbath. And when the Pharisees asked him why he allowed them to do so, he replied that David and his followers ate showbread from the altar when Abiathar was a priest, because they were hungry, as if that made it lawful. Then he said, the Sabbath was made for humans, not humans for the Sabbath. So the Son of Man is Lord even of the Sabbath. That's not good. Why can't he keep quiet and not challenge the Pharisees? And the followers that are hanging around him, tax collectors, lawbreakers, sinners, what is he thinking? Your father and I raised him to keep the law, and he used to keep it so meticulously. But now he sits down at table with anyone and everyone, including that tax collector Levi and his friends. What on earth is he thinking? But then the worst stories. Jesus was at the home of Simon the fisherman, and a huge crowd was around. Such a huge crowd that nobody could get through the door. This man who couldn't walk was brought on a stretcher by his friends. They wanted this man healed, but they couldn't get near the door. So didn't they go up on the roof and dig through it? I wonder what Simon's wife Ruth thought when all that dirt and dust came pouring into your house. Then they lowered him right down in front of Jesus. And what do you think your brother said? He said, "Son, your sins are forgiven." Of course, the scribes were right there and heard the whole thing and were scandalized by his blasphemy. What is he thinking? But then he asked them, which is easier to say to the paralytic, "Your sins are forgiven," or "Stand up, take up your mat and walk"? But so that you may know the Son of Man has authority on earth to forgive sins, I say to you, stand up and take your mat and go home. And then the man did just that. Then there was this man with a shriveled hand. He was in the synagogue on the Sabbath, and the scribes were watching Jesus to see what he would do. And Jesus said to them, "Is it lawful to do good or to do harm on the Sabbath, to save life or to kill?" And then he said to the man, "Stretch out your hand." And the man did, and he was healed. He knows that it's against the law of Moses to heal on the Sabbath, for the rabbis tell us that that is work. What is he thinking? People are saying that he's gone out of his mind. And maybe he has. What he's saying and doing is so dangerous. If he keeps this up, the priests and Pharisees in Jerusalem are going to silence him. James, we can't let this go on. We've got to get him and bring him home. Get Simon, Joseph, and some man Judas. We're going to go to Capernaum. You know, my sons, your brother was always different. You've heard the rumors, haven't you, about how I gave birth to him before your father and I were actually married? I put up with wagging tongues for years. But both your father and I were visited by the angel Gabriel. Your grandparents thought I was crazy when I told them. But it was more real and clear to me than that tree over there. and I was terrified. But Gabriel told me that my baby was a gift from the Holy Spirit, that he will be called the Son of the Most High, that God will leave him the throne of our ancestor David. I thought he would become a rabbi, a powerful man, a great teacher. He always loved to study the scriptures and debate their meaning with the rabbis. Do you remember when he was 12 and we were coming home from Passover in Jerusalem? You were all very young then. Your father and I thought he was with friends, but when we asked around, no one had seen him. So we left you with Grandma and Grandpa and went back to find him. And there he was in the temple, debating Torah with the rabbis. But then your father died, and Jesus had to look after us. He's been such a good son. He worked really hard to provide for us. He made sure you were educated in Torah and carpentry. He arranged good marriages for your sisters. He was always helping others out. Remember Hannah down the way when she was left a widow with 3 young children and her husband's family didn't help her? He looked after the family. And old Rachel, who'd been left alone with no one to care for her, he made sure she was looked after. Here, we've almost reached Capernaum. We'll put that right down to Simon's house. My, look at that huge crowd around the house. How will we ever reach him? Simon, you can go down there and see if you can find Jesus. Tell him I want to speak with him. Joseph, can you see who Simon is speaking to? Do you recognize him? Here he is. He's coming back. Simon, did you tell that man that we need to speak with Jesus? He said, what? The scribes and Pharisees are accusing him of being possessed by a demon, by the king of demons. That is how he has the power to heal the sick. Oh no, we've got to get him home. If he continues in this way, the scribes and Pharisees will persuade the council in Jerusalem that he is a dangerous, demon-possessed rabble-rouser, and they will destroy him. And it will break my heart to see him disgraced and killed. I love him so much. He is the very best of sons. No offense. He's my person. And you know what the powerful ones in Jerusalem are like when they're challenged? They will twist and manipulate everything he says and use it against him. They can turn black into white and white into black. Here comes that man. Who is he, Simon? Philip? Is he from Capernaum? One of Jesus' disciples. He must be part Greek with a name like Philip. That doesn't surprise me. Simon, take James with you and see if Jesus will see us. Jesus said, what? Here are my mother and my brothers. Whoever does the will of God is my brother, my sister, my mother. Well, and what does he mean by the will of God if it's not strictly keeping the law of Moses as the rabbis teach us? They teach us that the law of Moses is what keeps us faithful to the covenant. They say that the law is like a fence that keeps us separate and apart from the Gentiles, that keeps us pure and right with God. They even say that if everyone kept the law perfectly for one day, then Messiah would come. But then, so many can't keep the law. It's okay for the rich. They have Gentile slaves to do what they can't do by law. But how about the shepherds? They can't keep the law because of what they do for a living. Yet the angels came and sang to the shepherds and told them about Jesus' birth. They were so excited and joyful the night they came to see Jesus when he was born. Surely God loves them. Jesus said to me once that the powerful teachers twist the law into a weapon to gain wealth and honor for themselves while destroying the powerless. He quoted the prophet Ezekiel, "You have not strengthened the weak, you have not healed the sick, you have not brought back the strayed, you have not sought the lost, but with force and harshness you have ruled but I don't know. Touching lepers, giving food to people when they're hungry, when it breaks covenantal law, welcoming sinners at table, offering forgiveness to everyone. Is that what he means by the will of God? Jesus used to say, when the law is written on our hearts, we will naturally do justice, love kindness, walk humbly with God, as God said through the prophet Micah. That we will love others more than ourselves, and by doing so, we will become truly human, truly what God intended us to be in our creation. Jesus has always been compassionate and loving, and he will stand up to those who are not, even condemn them, and he knows how dangerous that is. I feel so helpless. He's a grown man. It's foolish of me to try and keep him safe. I will try and trust God to look after him, but I'm so frightened for him. Here's Ruth. She's making a way for us to come into her house. Come on, let's go and speak with your brother.